Most societies consider some things sacred, which is set apart as extraordinary or holy and worthy of honor. Objects like the Bible and the cross and experiences like taking communion are sacred to some people. We define most objects or experiences as secular, which is an extraordinary element of everyday life that does not have a religious context or focus. Objects like beds, computers, and phones are secular, as are experiences like going to work, going to the movies, or even brushing our teeth. The ongoing contrast between the secular and the sacred is at the heart of religion. However, the objects or experiences that are considered secular and sacred aren't universal. For example, although most people regard most books as secular, there are others that certain religions consider sacred. Muslims venerate the Quran, and Christians revere the Holy Bible. Regarding experiences, Muslims remove their shoes before entering a mosque to avoid defiling a sacred place with shoes that have touched the secular ground outside. And Christians do not use the sacred name of God while cursing, which is actually where the term profanity originates, to profane the name of God. Religion is a matter of faith, which can be defined as belief based on conviction rather than scientific evidence. Faith is frequently portrayed through the use of rituals and sacred objects, sometimes called totems by social scientists. Rituals are formal, ceremonial behaviors that represent religious meanings. Rituals rely on symbols to convey their meaning and to reinforce that meaning for participants. Reading from the Torah during a bar mitzvah and touching the mezuzah when going through a doorway are examples of rituals in Judaism. Sacred objects, or totems, frequently symbolize both the group of people and that which the group considers sacred. For example, the image of the Buddha often serves as an icon representing the Buddhist tradition and community. To practicing Buddhists, it also represents the teachings and enlightenment of the Buddha. A church can be defined as a type of religious organization, usually a place of worship or congregation of people that is culturally and traditionally integrated into a larger society. Churches have well-established rules and expect their leaders to be formally trained, educated, and ordained. Churches are integrated into the larger society in that they exist within neighborhoods and communities. It is commonplace for people to be members of churches and to treat the church as an ordinary aspect of life, just like work or school. Although most people associate the word church with the building, with our definition, churches would not only include the organizations that are based on Christian and Catholic worship centers, but also those based on Muslim mosques, Jewish synagogues, and more. On the opposite end of the religious continuum is a sect, which is a type of religious organization that stands apart from the larger society. It's typically a small, exclusive fellowship of people seeking spiritual perfection. The leader of a sect is not required to be trained or ordained, but instead must exhibit great charisma and act as a role model. To members of a sect, religion is not just one aspect of life, but a doctrine for how to live. A sect is typically formed as a breakaway group from an established religious organization that wants to practice a pure form of that religion. Often, a sect discourages its members from extensive participation in mainstream society because they consider the world outside the sect to be corrupt and sinful. In extreme cases, members of a sect withdraw completely from society in order to practice their religion without interference. The Amish community is a good example of a sect. Often confused with sects are cults, but they're not the same thing. A cult is a religious organization that is largely outside a society's cultural traditions. Where a sect spins off from a conventional religious organization, a cult typically forms around one highly charismatic individual who offers a new revelation or insight. Cults typically have a bad name in our society, and popular culture has come to define the word as a religion that has obscene or taboo practices or even evil. The suicides of the members of the Heaven's Gate serve to reinforce this negative image. In short, calling any religious organization a cult today amounts to dismissing its members as crazy. However, there's nothing basically evil or crazy about this kind of religious organization. Many long-standing religions, like Christianity and Buddhism and Judaism, began as cults when their ideologies were considered new. Let's review. Religion can be defined as a social and cultural institution involving beliefs and practices based on the sacred. It is one of the largest social institutions that historians and social scientists study. The dichotomy between the secular or ordinary elements of everyday life and the sacred, or those things that are set apart as extraordinary or holy, is at the heart of religion. As social scientists and historians, we do not attempt to judge religion or attempt to prove or disprove religious doctrine. Religion is a matter of faith, or belief based on conviction rather than scientific evidence. Faith is frequently portrayed through the use of the rituals, which are formal, ceremonial behaviors that represent religious meanings, and totems, or symbols, which are objects that are collectively sacred. Social scientists and historians categorize the hundreds of different religious organizations by comparing them to churches and sects. A church is a type of religious organization that is well integrated into the larger society. Churches have well-established rules, formally trained leaders, and exist within everyday society. A sect is a type of religious organization that stands apart from the larger society. It is typically a small, exclusive group that is formed as a breakaway group from an established religious organization. A sect is sometimes confused with a cult, but they are not the same thing. A cult is a type of religious organization that is largely outside a society's cultural traditions, where a sect spins off from a conventional religious organization. A cult typically forms around one highly charismatic individual who offers a brand new religion.